We're going to be talking about the psychology behind market movements, especially with crypto, especially with altcoins, because I think altcoins are about to be making some huge moves here. I will let you guys know why I think that based on what I'm seeing here on the charts. Now, we don't have any crypto news here today because it seems like TradingView is actually down with the news section. So we're going to resume that tomorrow. So we're going to dive right into the charts here and see what's going on with Bitcoin, which is the driver of this crypto market. And of course, altcoins. Okay, I know you guys are here for the altcoins. The altcoins we're going to be covering in this video, which is going to come later in this video, about the 10-minute mark. Okay, if you guys want to skip ahead, you guys can, but I highly don't recommend it because what happens with Bitcoin could very much affect your altcoins. Okay, even though this bull cycle has started, in my opinion, of course, everything I'm saying here is my opinions and speculations only, none of which is financial advice. You should do your own due diligence, but I still keep in mind of what's happening with Bitcoin, especially when I'm making those shorter term trades with leverage. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to be taking a look into BitTorent token. Okay, Polkadot, XPR network. See what's going on with these markets. See what has changed since the last time I've talked about them. Okay, but right now let's get into Bitcoin first, very quickly. What is happening with Bitcoin right now? We're consolidating below that 120k level. We also have some divergence on the daily time frame, right? Daily time frame, we have divergence on the RSI. This, let's see if we also have divergence on the 3-day time frame, right? Where we have a higher high, right? However, a lower high on the RSI. So we could be taking a bit of a pullback here. But in my opinion here is still a very solid breakout above that 110k level. Just look at that candle, okay? I mean, solid is a subjective word, but that is very solid to me. You guys let me know your opinion. Let's come over here to the weekly time frame where it actually looks very bullish even on the RSI because we have a higher high here, right? Even though this weekly candle closes in about a day, I mean, I think that's gonna end up very much like that, right? And we also have a higher high on the RSI, so there is no weakness here, at least according to what we're seeing right now. And on this weekly time frame is also where we have a breakout finally above that 110k level, this cup and handle pattern with the price target of about 145k here. Now, could Bitcoin smash that 145k level? I very much think so, because if we actually take a look into the monthly RSI here, all right, we are not really in the levels we have seen back in 2021, right? Or 2017. Just look at the RSI reading here, okay? Where, it went all the way up to above 90s before getting a huge dump, okay? This is why I pay attention to the monthly time frame as this bull cycle gets started because I want to avoid that dump. I want to be taking profits, right? I don't want to take a round trip where I start at the bottom, I go to the top, and I ride it all the way back down. Okay, so that is something I'm going to be personally doing, and I think you guys should consider planning around. Okay, so right now on this monthly time frame here, we're at a RSI of about 73. Yes, we have bearish divergence on this monthly RSI as well, but we also had bearish divergence. I'm just pointing out some exceptions to you guys when it comes to huge breakouts. We also had bearish divergence back in December 2020 at that huge breakout there, last bull cycle. So I'm just saying, okay, there are going to be exceptions I don't think everything's going to be 100% aligned, when big things are happening. And, I would, portion my funds into the markets according to the signals that I'm seeing. All right, let's go ahead and come to the shorter time frames for Bitcoin here. Still very important to be paying attention to Bitcoin because, when that dump happens, when that monthly RSI gets overheated, you can be sure that I'm going to be, unloading my altcoins. Okay, if not, I'm already going to be unloading them along the way, taking profits. But, when Bitcoin gets to that very overheated level, that is when I will be pulling out, if not completely out of the markets, at least in terms of longs. All right, let's take a look into the hourly time frame here, where Bitcoin looks like it's getting a bounce from the hourly 50 SMA, right? At the white line there. Now it's very important that Bitcoin breaks this upper trend line here, okay? If you guys are bullish on Bitcoin, I am long on Bitcoin and quite a bit of these altcoins here, right? So I'm still looking for Bitcoin to continue higher because I don't think that was a very strong move in terms of percentage wise, right? That was like a 5% move, 6% move. I think there's a lot more for Bitcoin to go. And if there's more room for Bitcoin to go, there's going to be more room for altcoins to go. Okay. So I'm looking for Bitcoin to break above this upper trend line here. However, if it doesn't, then it could be forming some type of a bull flag or a falling wedge and possibly connect a bottom trend line somewhere along here. That's just a hypothetical situation right now. Let's take a look into BitTorrent token first. Okay, see what's going on in this market. BitTorrent, I mentioned this last time. BTT, USDT. See what's going on in this market. I mentioned that there was a falling wedge here on this weekly time frame. If it breaks out by this point, still somewhat possible. Okay, if it breaks out by this point, BitTorrent token is going to have a price target of about 0.000032. I think 5 zeros and 3 2 their price target. Now, price targets are estimates only, okay? It could be more, it could be less, very much depend on what the market is, okay? I think we're in a very bullish market right now, so I think there's a possibility that BitTorrent could smash this price target, okay? But of course, it's going to take time, and I am not in this token right now, but if I was, I will also be taking profits along the way and possibly looking to buy back at lower levels to compound my profits, right? If the situation is right. Now let's see here. So that is basically what I'm looking at. Falling wedge pattern, price target. Falling wedges usually break to the upside. Okay. Of course, also have to consider downsides as well, because even though we're in a very bullish market right now, in my opinion, nothing's gonna be 100%. Okay. If this thing breaks out, comes all the way back around, and this thing fakes out, you have to take into consideration of some possibility of that happening. Or if the price action comes up to the price target, meets that price target, however, it comes all the way back down and dump below this where this pattern is at, that is also a possibility, right? So just got to take into consideration of all types of scenarios that could happening. This is not a risk-free market, right? Even though we're in a bull cycle, okay? Now, let's take a look into daily time frame, okay? Daily time frame, what I'm seeing is a possible cup and handle pattern that could be developing here. Now, I see the resistance. I have the resistance here at about 0.0000. I think that's 6 zeros and 7. Okay. 6 zeros and 7. Okay, price target if this cup and handle pattern actually develops, right? I'm looking for that third touch back up to this resistance here. If this cup and handle pattern actually develops and establishes, then we have a price target of about point, I think 6 zeros and 86. So that's about a 26. That's about 20% move there, a little more than 20% move there from the possible breakout point of this cup and handle pattern. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing. Quite a bit of moving averages that could be resistance. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing for BitTorrent. Let's take a look into Polkadot, see what's going on in this market here. Polkadot .USDT and see what's happening here. Okay, falling wedge pattern still in play. It's going to be a very, very common pattern that you guys will see if you guys actually train your eyes to see it. And the psychology behind this pattern is that after an extensive downtrend, right, it usually reverses and breaks out of this pattern to the upside. Okay, now I talked about psychology at the beginning of this video and why it's important, because I tend to trade now that I'm 5+ years into trading. And, I used to trade with green candles. I want to buy into green candles, more likely than not, right? Now is I train myself to, look for reversal patterns, right? That is the psychology now that I am more into in terms of getting into lower risk setups rather than chasing those pumping green candles, especially on the day of. That is not going to be, that's high risk, high stress. I tend not to do that anymore, right? I'm not going to say never because, what if I just have 1%, 2% of my portfolio laying around and I think it's going to be a very good setup. But, I tend not to get into those setups, right? It's high risk, high stress. I like the lower risk, lower stress. All right, so this is basically what I'm looking at for Polkadot. It broke out of the bigger falling wedge pattern here. It's going to be about, the price target is going to be about $19 Polkadot, okay? Within this falling wedge pattern, it broke out of the smaller one. Price target out of the smaller one is still valid. It's going to be about $10 Polkadot. It has been just dragging, but it's still valid. That's still a valid breakout because it's above this upper trend line there. Now, it has hit this bottom trend line and it looks like it's rebounding, right? So it has also formed a smaller falling wedge pattern here since it broke out of that second one, formed another one. Just look at the breakouts here. It usually breaks the upside like I'm telling you, okay? Price target out of the smaller one is going to be about $4.60 price target. This is the daily time frame. It's trying to establish itself above this daily 50 SMA, which is about $3.80, right? Let's see if it keeps that level. Now, also, since it is trying to establish itself, claim that daily 50 SMA as support, it has also formed another falling wedge pattern. This is the hourly time frame. Okay. Price target for this time frame is going to be about $4.25 price target if it breaks out by this point. If it doesn't, move this measurement down along this upper trend line. If this pattern is still intact. Of course, there is still a risk that these falling wedge patterns breaks to the downside as well, right? So that is something to be keeping in mind of. And if it does for any of these patterns, we can come back here and look at what the updates are for these coins. If you guys want to keep seeing Polkadot, BitTorrent, or any coins I'm talking about in this channel video, make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, letting me know you guys want to see it, or any other coins in this market. Just let me know. I would pick one of you guys to do on a daily basis. All right, that's it for Polkadot. Let's see if it can work its way up to that bigger falling wedge breakout. Let's take a look at the next one, which is XPR network. Okay, see what's going on with this market here. This is XPR USDT, weekly time frame. On this weekly time frame here, it looks like, it could be forming some type of a cup and handle here. But you're looking for a retest back up to about, I'm just going to say for, an even rounding number, it's going to be about 0.9 cents resistance there. Okay, it's not exact, but I'm just going to round it off to about 0.9 cents resistance. This is still a hypothetical situation because I don't have 3 touches or 3 very close touches to this upper trend line here, to this resistance. But if it does, then that is going to look like a cup and handle pattern, and cup and handles usually break to the upside, okay? And you're going to have a huge price target if that cup and handle actually forms. But right now, I am looking at a smaller falling wedge pattern. Like I said, very common pattern. Probably the most common pattern you guys will see if you guys start charting these markets. And that is a very good setup I usually look for, okay? Falling wedges. Not to mention, it's the most common, in my opinion. Now, falling wedge pattern right here, weekly time frame still, it broke out of this one. Price target for this one, for the smaller one, is going to be about 0.7 cents price target. Let's see if it smashes through that price target. Now, what I would do, for example, if, the price action gets that price target and it consolidates, I would chart that consolidation pattern and see if I can get any more clues on if the price action would be continuing upwards from there, or will it be pulling back from there. Because like I said, a lot of scenarios are possible, right? It could be dumps, it could be fake outs, just saying. So this is basically what I'm looking at for XPR network. Let's see if it can actually reach that 0.7 price target before hitting that and forming that cup and handle pattern. So this is basically what I'm seeing for these altcoins for now. Let me know if you guys want to keep seeing these altcoins by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. I'll bring you guys the next video later in the day, and I'll see you on the next one.